Bet you've heard we've got some rain coming, and don't be fooled by how nice this Sunday and the weekend as a whole was. It was beautiful. It worked out wonderfully for that. Now let's get you ready for the Monday rain, because this is going to be widespread, and it's going to be the most rain we've had around here since last winter. You see the storm out here in the Gulf of Alaska? Let's put the rain in that. And we'll watch these showers work their way, and we're going to bring it ahead to Monday, tomorrow. That's Monday morning, right into the early afternoon. At this point, we're seeing some of the best widespread rain. We're going to break this down hour by hour, and we're going to replay this, and I'll show you how it starts, when the heaviest rain comes through, and we'll pinpoint when some of the most intense parts of the storm will be. But I wanted you to see it first, before we get to that, in a big picture view, to understand why this system has the potential to deliver some thunderstorms. Because as this thing sets up right up off the coast, we've got the center of the low right off the coast of California, and that's pulling a lot of updrafts on the atmosphere. So now you've got a lot of convection, and you've got the storm's ability to develop thunderstorms when you're forcing air to rise like that. And at the same time that we've got this area of low pressure sitting right off the coast, we've also got warmer than average sea surface temperatures out here. It's one way to look at it down here this way, and you kind of come away with a sense of warm water. But what you really need to see is how much warmer than average this water is. And when we look at it this way, you can see the deep red off the coast of California, warmer than average by several degrees. That means the air above it is now warmer. That means you've now got warmer air that wants to rise into that area of low pressure. So the two of them are now kind of working in tandem to give you a little bit more upward force in the atmosphere. That's why we've got a little more likely here for thunderstorms. And if we take a look at this in the futurecast, let's take this from midnight on Monday into the morning. This is now where we time this out. First showers arrive by late morning, North Bay. Notice these red bullseyes on here. The possibility for thunderstorms from this likely is morning into the afternoon, just as the leading edge comes in. That'd be the most likely time if we're going to see it. So every so often when you see one of those bullseyes, there's about a 30% chance one of those is coming in the form with a good brief little downpour, and maybe you'll hear some thunder. Might even see some lightning with it. Of course, there's a 70% chance you're just going to get rain. That's the way it'll go throughout the morning. But watch the intensity pick up, or I should say at least the coverage of this picks up as we get into the early afternoon. This is really the main time for this storm, from noon through about like sunset. And if you take a look at how widespread the rain is on here in that window, from noon, here's now 1 o'clock, you can see some of these areas coming right across the heart of the bay with some of the heavier rain mixed in. And as we advance that now into the early afternoon, those showers are still going. And by the time we get into like the 2, 3 o'clock hour, perhaps a little more of a focus for the South Bay at that point now. Everybody else will have already had their share. Works its way to the South and East Bay at this point. And then you're going to see the main focus leaves the bay right about sunset. So by 6 o'clock, you've still got your evening commute home. There's still a good amount of rain falling at this point. And by this point, we've gotten enough rain on the ground. This will probably be an impact for the drive. Slick roads, maybe some low-lying intersections will be filling with water because it's the first storm of the season, and there could be some clogged gutters. This is not an overwhelming storm. Typically, we can handle something like this easily, but it's the first one of the season, and the roads haven't quite yet adjusted to rain like this yet. So if there's a trouble spot from this storm, it really comes through Monday afternoon at this point on the roadways. So just keep that in mind for the commute or anybody else, early evening if you got to be on the roads. Watch the main band of rain leaves as we get past sunset. Then there's a little bit of an opening. Then phase 2 comes in. Phase 1's the most impressive. But phase 2, you can see out here. These are the isolated on-again, off-again hit-and-miss showers, maybe a few more thunderstorms, but most of those could have bad aim. We'll see a few that come through by the time we get into Tuesday morning early. And you can see now the center of the storm is approaching. And by that, I mean you're going to see everything is rotating around a point right at about here. That's the center of the low. And it's just kind of pinwheeling these isolated thunderstorms around it as we get into Tuesday. And you'll see how it's kind of on-again, off-again, hit-and-miss. So most of us don't notice a whole lot from that phase of the storm. But if you happen to get an isolated thunderstorm over your part of the bay Tuesday morning, you get a brief little downpour from it. And then it'll clear out. And as we play this throughout the rest of Tuesday, you cannot miss that counterclockwise circulation right overhead. But there's not a whole lot of rain in it, even though we're in the center of it. There will be some colder temperatures. Let me show you that in 1 second. First, here's how much rain we might get total from this. It's about 3/4 of an inch to about 1 inch or more. Now it's a lot of rain for us, but it's totally manageable rain. Just keep in mind that aspect we were talking about a moment ago, where since this is the first one, this is likely going to have bigger impacts on the road particularly through the afternoon. All right, let's just talk about temperatures real quick. It will be bringing in colder air. Look at the daytime highs for Monday. 60s, mid-60s on here. So you'll notice that, but I think what you may notice even more than this as we transition off of the highs is to take a look at the morning lows. And now as we factor that in, this is Tuesday morning. Come up here to the North Bay. Look at Santa Rosa, Petaluma, you guys. Those North Bay valleys usually get quite cold in the winter. This is not that, but it's the first little brush with a cold front. And you're going to see your temperatures take a dip down into the mid-40s. You're going to feel that. We don't have any frost advisories or freeze warnings. We are not there yet. But it will be noticeably colder on Tuesday morning, especially in the interior valleys. So it's a first alert weather day tomorrow for Monday for everything we just looked at. Tuesday, it's just a few scattered showers. It doesn't look like we'll stay in first alert status then. Things should be a lot quieter. And the first alert status on Monday primarily is that evening commute with the rain on the roadways. Rest of the 7-day looks good. In fact, we're going to warm back up to near 80 degrees by the time we get towards the end of this next coming week. That's the 7-day forecast for the inland microclimate. And when we look at this for the bay, those temperatures are also cooler to start, but you're going back to the low and mid 70s here as well by the time we get to the end of the week.